It was 2 a.m. I hadn't slept more than a few hours total over the past 3 days. I had a terrible headache, and my abdomen ripped with pain anytime I tried to walk. My entire body was swollen up to my eyeballs. My newborn baby was 3 days old, and she was screaming out of frustration. She couldn't latch to feed. We were both crying as we were struggling to get to know each other. In that moment, I was more terrified than I've ever been. Sleep deprived, in pain, struggling to feed my child, all of my worst fears came flooding into my mind. Will we get used to this? Used to each other? Will my baby love me? Will people know that I'm her mommy? Will my baby be okay? It felt like the physical pain I had in that moment was an outward manifestation of the emotional pain I had when I thought about those last questions. I knew we would get through those tough first few days of her life. I knew I would catch up on sleep and recover from my C-section eventually. I had faith that we would get to know each other and develop our mother-daughter bond with time. After all, I had been preparing for this moment my entire life. I was raised in a family that values the vocation of motherhood above anything else. The very reason I became a pediatrician is that I wanted to be a support for that sacred bond between parent and child for my own patients. So I knew that the connection I had with my own daughter was sacred, rooted in the strongest love imaginable. That was the other value my family taught me, love. A single word which encompassed our entire faith tradition growing up, and which is still the only word I need to describe why I do anything in life. Love for the world, for my community, and yes, love for my own daughter. What I realize now is that back in that moment at 2 a.m. with my newborn baby, I was starting to understand the bigger questions, bigger fears that I had for my daughter. How would the world treat her? The daughter of a white woman and a black man. I imagined her more grown up, with her light brown skin and dark brown curly hair. When she would get a little bigger, I would recognize that she had my smile, my laugh, my mouth, my ears, and yet the world wouldn't see those things. They would simply see her as inherently different than me, her mommy, because of this stupid construct called race. And this was my greatest pain of all. So sitting there at 2 a.m., I was afraid. I was afraid that even though I felt the greatest love of all for this beautiful little girl who I created with my own body, I was afraid that the world would still try to rip me away from her because they would see us as different. I was afraid of what my baby would have to experience in this world she was born into. This world with its systems of oppression rooted in hundreds of years of racism. I realized in that moment that being Chrissy's mom would not be easy. But in that moment, I made a choice to keep fighting for her and for us, because I knew that the love I had for my daughter in that single moment was much stronger than any societal construct, even one that was centuries old. Now that Chrissy is older, her beautiful smile and infectious laugh are signs of our love that keep me going on the toughest days. She keeps me fighting for racial justice so that Chrissy can live in a better world. So now I'm asking you, what love are you fighting for? How can you show love for your community? One way is to visit Vot-ER.org to learn how to promote civic health in your community. I hope you'll choose love and join us.